What's up, YouTube? Today's Wednesday. You know what that means. It's New Comic Book Day. So today we're going to review the comics I read last week. We're going to head to the LCS. We're going to pick up our pulls, and then we'll see what happens from there. But let's jump right into it. All right, I have the comics with me that I read last week. But first thing first, you might notice a couple improvements to the video we have here. We have a nice little mic, if you guys can hear that. And a nice little new framing a little bit. We did a little redecorating in the corner. Shout out to my girlfriend Emily for the help. Shooting in-person videos isn't really my forte, so this is kind of new for me. So yeah, thanks to her for the help and the inspiration with some of this. But anyway, let's jump right into the comics. I read 4 physically last week, and then I also read a trade paperback last week, so I'm going to do a little bit of a review of that as well. So let's start off with my number 4 that I read last week. I always put this in backwards order. I have my number 1 on top, and I should have my number 4 on top. Starting with the number 4 from last week. If you guys didn't see this in the New Comic Book Day vlog, I actually picked this up on Thursday when I ran to the LCS on Thursday. I had some extra free time, so I just ran there. Fireborn number 1. This is actually written in part by Frankie Jonas. Some people might know him as the Bonus Jonas, is what some people call him. I think it's a little messed up of a nickname, but it's also kind of funny. Anyway, Frankie Jonas wrote this. It is part of the Lost Fantasy universe. I'm not really familiar with the Lost Fantasy universe, but yeah, I picked this up. I heard some good things about it, so I picked it up. You see I have the Invincible variant homage cover. The LCS didn't have any more of the 8 covers, but that's all right. So I read this. It was okay. It felt a little, I don't know, childish in a way. There's a lot of cursing that feels a little unnecessary. This concept of the story is pretty interesting. This kid who gets like possessed by this creature from this ancient dragon egg, and then he gets powers, and you see he gets this really cool suit and everything. It's an interesting story for sure. I'm probably gonna pick up one more issue, see how I like it, and then I'll decide from there. First issue, I'd probably give like a 3 out of 5 stars. It was all right. But yeah, this is written by Christopher Priest, Frankie Jonas, art by Patrick Mullinhand. But yeah, the art was pretty good on this. Story was a little there. Next up, we have Lobo number 2, written by Scotty Young, art by Jorge Corona. Iconic duo of a team. Once again, Lobo. I loved it. I mean, I'm still pretty new to comics. I know some people have some opinions on Lobo. They don't really like him. I've enjoyed this take on him. I like the kind of corporate side of coming in, trying to corporatize his bounty hunting and stuff, and he kind of rejects that by the end of this issue. So we'll see where he goes with that. But Lobo number 2, the story's been pretty fun, and the art is just amazing on this. Highly recommend it. I'd probably give this like a 4.5 out of 5 stars. Next up, Superman Unlimited, number 12. Last issue of this, we had young John Kent coming back, and Tomorrow Man, who is also old John Kent, was kind of trying to, like, it would just happen at the end of the last issue. This issue is him kind of trying to deal with that. So he brings John, and they go to meet Lois, and old John, Tomorrow Man, is kind of trying to hide his identity, and so he kind of just brings John back. There's some hijinks that entail. This one was all right. I'd probably also give it a 4.5 out of 10. And then lastly, we have Absolute Batman, number 19, written by Scott Snyder, art by Nick Dragotta. Of course, Nick Dragotta back on art, amazing. If you saw my last week's vlog, you know I read this in that week, and I kind of broke it down a little bit. So go check that out for some more in-depth review. But yeah, just 10 out of 10, 5 out of 5 issue, absolutely epic. The art, the story just keeps taking dips and turns. I know some people have some opinions on the Robins and their mech suits and stuff. people say Scott Snyder always has to involve mechs in his runs and stuff, but I think it's super cool. It's super anime manga inspired, and I just love it. So yeah, those are the single issues I read last week, and then I have one trade paperback that I read last week, Everything Dead and Dying, the trade paperback. This is the whole complete story, and this honestly blew me away. I heard great stuff about it when it was coming out month to month in single issues, and I just never picked it up. And I picked up the trade paperback last week, whenever it came out. I think it was last week or the week before, and I got around to reading it, and this was awesome. So spoiler warnings for Everything Dead and Dying, if you don't want any spoilers. Before the spoilers, I'll give you some the quick baseline overview. It's about a farmer in a zombie world. The whole world gets infected by this virus, except for him. He's immune somehow. And the zombies, in his town at least, he lives in a small farm town, they kind of all continue their same routine that they went through in their normal lives as humans. So they, go and tend to their shops, they go drop their kids off at school, pick them back up and stuff. And they all continue doing that because the main character, Jack, he continues to feed them. And if they're fed, they don't get angry and they don't try to attack other humans. So Jack lives in this town isolated by himself, and he keeps the zombies alive and fed. And a group of travelers from outside of the town come, and that's when everything goes awry. And yeah, it is absolutely mind-blowing. The art's not like super like crazy, but the story is really, really good. I believe this is, Tate Bromball wrote this, and Jacob Phillips, I believe, on art. Yep, Jacob Phillips on art. Absolutely awesome. It just blew me away. I loved the story. It has such high points and low points. It kind of like goes back and forth between like flashbacks and current time. Really, really good. Highly recommend it. You can get it at Barnes & Noble or something like that, but I also recommend going to your LCS and asking them for this. I'm sure they'll have it there. They'll tell you exactly where it is. Highly recommend if you like zombie stories. It's kind of Walking Dead-like and stuff, so I highly recommend. But yeah, that's all I read last week, so all we have to do now is head to the LCS, go pick up our pulls from this week. So let's do it. All right. We have arrived at Lost World of Wonders, the greatest place on earth. Let's go get our pulls and check it out. All right, we're back from the LCS. Let's go over our pulls for the week. Starting off, first, little bit of a special item. We have Gotham by Gaslight. This is the League for Justice. Yep. This is the third of the series. I have the first two here. I actually haven't gotten into them. We have the first one, Gotham by Gaslight. The second one, Gotham by Gaslight. This is the Kryptonian era. Yep. And then the last one, A League for Justice. These were coming out late 2024 when I was first getting into comics, or this series at least was coming out. And I just kind of thought the aesthetic and the art style was cool. Hadn't heard a lot of people really talk about it, but I'm excited to jump into those. I haven't read any of them yet. I was waiting for the third one to come out so I could read them all in order. But yeah, excited for those to come out. Or excited that that came out so I can read them. Next up, we got the actual pulls for the week. Starting off, we have Corpse Night #1. This is written by Michael Chavez and art by Matthew Roberts. Michael Chavez is actually the guy who created the Conjuring series. And I'm a pretty big fan of the Conjuring movies, so I thought I'd check this out. It's supposed to be a horror comic. I didn't really read what it was about. I just saw it was from the Conjuring guy, so I was like, all right, let's check it out. Starting up next, we have another #1 from Image Comics. We have In Your Skin #1. This is written by Aditka Baditkar, and it has art by Sam. I can't remember Sam's first name off the top of my head. I believe Sam is his last name, but he just goes by Sam. Anyway, Aditka Baditkar is usually the letterer for Ram V in most of his indie stuff. And this is the first time he's actually written something for himself. So I'm super excited to check it out. The tagline for this is Bollywood body horror mixed with erotic fiction. So it's super interesting. I think one of the main characters of this, she's like super obsessed with this Bollywood star, and there's some I think some body swap, body horror stuff. I'm not 100% sure. But yeah, super excited about this. If you guys don't know, I'm actually half Indian. And so this is just super cool to see Indian representation in comics and stuff like that. So super excited for this one. Next up, we have Superman #37, written by Joshua Williamson, art by Dan Mora. Continuing on with the Superboy Prime arc, Prime Time, I think they're calling it. So really enjoying this arc. Like I said, I'm not 100% fully caught up on all DC lore and stuff, so I don't really have the baggage with Superboy Prime like a lot of other fans do, so that's why they don't like Superboy Prime as much. I enjoy Superboy Prime. I think he's cool. I think he's a cool stand-in for comic book fans and stuff like that. I think Joshua Williamson writes him very funnily and very fun, and yeah, I just enjoy it. So yeah, super enjoying this run. Dan Mora art, obviously amazing. Next up, we have Absolute Flash #14, written by Jeff Lemire, art by Haining. Not Nick Robles on the art. Don't know Haining's first name. Sorry about that, guys. But yeah, this is Absolute Flash. You see we have Absolute Mirror Master on the cover. I can't remember if it was Absolute Evil's one shot or if it was one the Omega Axe special or something like that. But if you guys have read those, you'll know, spoiler alert, Mirror Master has already gone between universes, between the Absolute Universe to the mainline DC Universe. So we'll see what's going on with that. I think this one's going to have some big implications for the Absolute Universe as a whole. Next up, Absolute Wonder Woman #19, written by Kelly Thompson, art by Hayden Sherman. I really love the cover on this one, the black background. I think if Hayden Sherman or Kelly Thompson is ever at a con, I think I'd love to get this one signed with a nice blue color. I think that'd be really awesome. But yeah, Absolute Wonder Woman is absolutely peak. We all know that. I think it's all pretty much a consensus, at least with the Trinity, Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, that all of the absolutes for those characters are just amazing. And that is pretty much the same for Absolute Wonder Woman. So yeah, excited for this one. Lastly, we have the most anticipated book of the week, I'm sure by everyone, Spider-Man Superman #1. This is the Marvel side of the crossover. Last month, DC released their Superman Spider-Man #1. Yeah, excited for this one. Excited to hop into it. The collabs for me have been kind of so-so. I don't really know much Marvel lore as much as DC, so the Marvel references and stuff I don't really understand as much as the DC ones, so I feel like I kind of get half of the content of the book. But yeah, I'm excited to hop in this one. This is probably what I will be reading this week. But yeah, Superman Spider-Man #1, super exciting. Yeah, I say let's tap into it. I don't know if I'm gonna read the whole thing. There's a bunch of stories in this one. And if you saw my clips from the store, there's a bunch of variants for this one as well. There's probably like, I don't even know. There was probably 10 variants at the store. I talked to the guy at the store and he said he didn't even order all of them. So like, I was so shocked by how many variants there were, but there's a market for it. I only got the A cover. I'm an A cover guy after all. But anyway, let's tap into this. All right, everyone, time to tap into Spider-Man Superman #1. Let's do it. All right. Well, that does it for at least the first story of Spider-Man Superman. I might go ahead and do the rest of them. It looks like the other ones, besides the main Spider-Man Superman one, we have Spider-Man Noir and Superman, Mysterio versus Superman featuring The Thing, interesting, Hobgoblin versus Steel. Oh, I missed one. Gwen Stacy and Lana Lang. That sounds kind of fun. Ghost Spider, Supergirl, Miles Morales, and Superman. Symbiotes in Metropolis, and I guess there's another Spider-Man Superman at the end, and that's written by Jeff Loeb. This first one was written by Brad Metzler, and Pepe Larraz was the artist, who I think is the artist on mainline Spider-Man, if I'm not mistaken. Anyway, let's get into this review of the first Spider-Man Superman, or I guess the second Spider-Man Superman story, technically, because the first one came out last month. Anyway, enough semantics. Getting into it. It was pretty good. I enjoyed it. Spoiler warning. Big spoiler warning. So skip ahead if you do not want spoilers on this. But yeah, it starts off. We have Spidey and Superman in a cave. Oh, there's freaking, the sun's coming through. It's kind of ruining the lighting here. Anyway, let's see if I can get a little closer. We got Spidey and Superman. They're stuck in a cave, and Supes has got some kryptonite poisoning going on, so he's kind of out of it, a little out of it. And we got Spidey holding the cave up, and the conversation that's going on throughout all of this is Spider-Man's talking about, oh, like, you need to distract me, otherwise I get in my own head. And so Superman asks Spidey, he says, why do you do it? And Spider-Man says, guilt. And then pretty much after that, there's a couple more things, but there's a big explosion, and then we get Venom Superman, which is actually pretty sick, if you guys can see that. But there's some big fighting going on in the background of this two-page spread too. We got Doomsday, we got Rhino, Parasite over there, Electro, Doc Ock. We got Luthor and Green Goblin, who are like the main antagonists of this. Oh, there's Brainiac over there as well. Just a who's who of villains, truly. But yeah, then it continues on. They beat the Venom. There's this big super one, double space splash. This big clap gets the Venom off, and then freaking Pete and Aunt May. Jeez, I'm completely stumbling over words. Pete and Aunt May join the Kents for dinner, and that was a good time and a very sweet ending to the story. Jeez, be careful. But yeah, I enjoyed that. Honestly, I think I'm gonna call it there. I will read these on my own, and I'll give you the review for the rest of those in next week's vlog. But I appreciate you guys tuning in to this week's vlog. Let me know how you guys feel. Let me know if you guys want, I asked you guys earlier, if you want me to read review the online comics that I read. Like I said, it would be a month after the initial release because that's how the DC Universe app works. But if you guys want me to do that, I can. I'll just do a quick review of those. But yeah, like I said, thank you guys for tuning in. I really appreciate it. Please be sure to like, subscribe, comment, do all those things. But yeah, I hope you guys have a great rest of your week, and I'll catch you next week. Peace out.